Welcome to another episode of Trades Take 10. We're here with a very special guest today. I'm going to read a little bit about your bio, John, first. So we have John Brannan here from, well, he's got his own company, and I'll let him tell us about that. So he's a seasoned professional in the oil and gas industry, over 46 years of experience. From Texas A&M graduate at one point, engineer, pretty sure. He's worked in both large and small public and private companies. He's been in Canada for over 30 years, working and operating in southern Alberta. So thank you very much for that, John.
Yep.
We appreciate that. That means a lot to me. He founded his own oil and gas company, Torxen?
Torxen,
yes. And now enjoys maybe semi-retirement. I believe a guy like you probably never stops being busy.
I think that's right. I will always be busy until I'm got one foot in the grave.
We do want to mention again that John is a former board member here at SAIT, serving 6 years, I think 2 terms. He's a father, he's a grandfather, he's passionate about supporting youth and new grads, which also is very important to us. He believes strongly in the exciting opportunities ahead for the next generation. And I want to hear a little bit more about that. John, can you walk us through a little bit of your journey of how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, you bet. So I went to University High School in Waco, Texas.
Okay. My
dad was in the military and in the government. I went to 12 schools in 12 years, so we were always kind of moving around. People say, where are you from? Well, I was born in Wisconsin. I actually spent the most time in Canada. My family's been in Canada for 32 years. We just recently retired and semi-retired and moved back to Texas. But so when I got out of high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Right.
I didn't necessarily get along great with my dad at this time, as most 17-year-olds do. He wanted me to go to university. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I ended up going to work I went from Texas to Virginia. I had a brother that was doing some construction work over there, and he said, well, come on over here, we'll get you a job. Well,
sure.
The first 2 weeks I was hauling cinder block, and I very quickly realized that my arms were going to be about 4 inches longer if I kept hauling those cinder blocks. And I got an opportunity to work for a surveying company. And I'd always been pretty good at math, but, I never excelled at anything. I was always good, but I never worked hard at it and all this. Well, I was working hard now. And I'll tell you a quick story. When I left Texas, I packed up all of my crap in a small little Volkswagen Beetle. And my dad came out and said, here's $100. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
There was no friggin' way I was coming back in 2 weeks. If you can understand that.
I do. I get that.
So I went to Virginia, eventually got on with a surveying company, and I was a rodman, I was chainman, I was cutting line, I was doing whatever they needed me to do. And we were working, can to can't kind of hours, early in the morning till dark or whatever. And I eventually got up to where I was the instrumentation man, and I'm old, man. This was 40, 50 years ago,
sure.
Kind of thing,
yeah.
50 plus years ago. But they had the first theodolite set where it had lasers in them so that you could check distances and stuff. And I was just so keen on all that stuff and really very quickly advanced up to a party chief.
Sure.
And the guy that was running the company, John P. DeJulian, said to me, he said, look around. You're the youngest party chief we have, but there's 20 others in front of you before you get to come into the office. So you'll be making generally the same wage for the next 20 years. I said, you're too smart. You need to go to school. So I actually went to a small community college, got my linear algebra, got some calculus, got some other math going. Sure. And he came back and said, you need to go to university and be an engineer. So I went back to Texas, went to Texas A&M, very highly regarded engineering school, but it was also a state school. And you guys may or may not believe it, but $4 a semester hour. So it was really cheap to go there. And again, I was still a bit on the outs with my dad. I was paying for university. So I ended up getting in the co-op program, 5 different terms, paid for all my university. But all of that was hands-on. I worked in a power plant.
Okay.
So steam turbines, electricians, mechanics, all the journeyman, millwrights, all those other kind of things. And I learned a ton of mechanical things and eventually graduated in '79 from Texas A&M with a mechanical engineering degree. And then I went in, so what am I going to do? I thought I was going to work at a power plant, going to work for one of the big power plant constructors. Ended up taking for practice an interview with Marathon Oil Company, an oil and gas company.
Okay.
We hit it off. The guys loved me. The offer of working for an oil and gas company was a good 30 or 40% than I was going to get working for a utility. I'm in.
Okay,
You know, I didn't necessarily like university. I liked getting out of university. I liked going into the workforce and making money.
Yes, indeed. I think we all do. Yeah.
So I kind of went from there. I worked for a Marathon Oil Company. Then my boss went to Superior Oil Company. I worked for them. Superior got bought by Mobil. Mobil got bought by ExxonMobil. And I retired from ExxonMobil and went to work for a Canadian oil and gas company, which was originally Pan-Canadian, which became Encana, which went to Cenovus, and I retired at Cenovus.
Okay.
So varying positions to where I was the chief operating officer at Cenovus. My technical expertise is in drilling wells. I did a good part of that. Sat rigs, offshore, onshore, international, deep water, shallow water.
Wow.
California. Wow. Anyway, and I don't know, finally got into my own company, Torxen, partnered with another individual, and we put that company together and took it from about 20,000 barrels to took it from 20,000 BOE to about 60,000 BOE. So
wow.
Really good opportunity. We were partnered with Schlumberger that provided a bunch of the support money and those kind of things. So it's been really interesting, and it's been a great journey. And oil and gas industry, I mean, I'm an advocate. Yes, things go up and down and the prices change, but you know, if you put your mind to it, you work hard, you put the effort in there, you don't look for your next job, you look for doing the best you can in the current job you have, and that will take care of itself.
John, I went to your website and I had a look at a couple of things. This interests me tremendously. I want to just read a little bit about this, and then I'm going to ask you some questions. The Torxen team has a proven track record operating upstream oil and gas properties all over Western Canada in the sedimentary basin, which is fine. It's committed to high standards of safety and training, environmental responsibility, and stakeholder relationships. This is pretty important because it leads me to your modern slavery statement that you have on your website.
Yep.
What does that mean? How does it pertain to your governance, your operations, and your training of employees? How does that work?
Well, I maybe even take it back to your own personal values.
Sure.
You want to be able to work and live in a community as if my kids work there, or as if my grandkids are going to be working. You want a company that is respected by the places that you work, is respected by the people that you work with, and the people that are working for you. I think in general that 99% of the employees that work for Torxen have really enjoyed working for that company. The communities that we work in, particularly southern Alberta, the Brooks area, the Medicine Hat area, Drumheller area, they know the reputation that we have. Torxen is a good operator. They're a good company to work for. You got an issue with them, go talk to the land band or the people in that area, and they'll listen to you, they'll understand. And that's the kind of community that we want to work in. When you take it to the Modern Slavery Act and all of that, it's that we want to be doing the right thing.
Yes.
And it's back to personal values. You know, I want to be able to stand up in front of the Lord Almighty with my hand raised up, and we did the right things. You know, we acted the way that we should act.
Oh, that's amazing. This is my statement. I think Alberta Oil and Gas are the most ethical in all of this planet.
Unbelievable,
right now.
unbelievable.
They treat the employees, the environment, everything is super good. And thank you for that governance.
And just, you know, I have to talk about the safety deal.
Sure, please do. Yes.
In my entire career, one fatality. And I went and talked to that father the day after, and it still breaks me up. Geez, and he's still a good friend of mine, and he really worked to improve the culture and the safety. We had a good, strong culture and safety, but he worked with our organization to make it even better.
That's
awesome. It's very important, and people that are seeing this that work for the company know what I'm talking about. And it's just, you know, I don't want to have to go sit across the table from another mother or father or brother or sister or spouse or husband, whatever kind of thing. And it's so important that we do those things right, and that safety takes priority over everything. And many times we get in a hurry to be cutting corners or doing things quicker or whatever. You can't afford to do that, because if you lose a finger, you lose an eye, you lose a life. It's just not worth it, period.
I agree. Thank you for saying that. We're big safety proponents. I run a safety course myself.
Yep.
So yes. Another little piece that I do want to say is that you do work in the Brooks, Drumheller, Medicine Hat area, as you said. Last year, I think you were operating over 13,000 producing oil wells and or gas wells. Torxen utilizes approximately 700 different contractors, vendors, suppliers throughout our supply chain. 90% of the suppliers are from Alberta or Alberta-based and are subject to all Canadian laws and regulations, where safety is, I believe, a higher standard than just about anywhere in the world. Here's a question. In your opinion, how is the industry doing right now? How is your industry doing right now? How are things going now? There's a lot of change, as you know. I mean, we're not immune to that.
Yeah, the industry's always changing. And you know, the biggest thing that they ride on is price. And when price is $80, $90, $100 for a barrel of oil, activity is crazy. All the rigs are working. When prices drop to 60 like they are today, still pretty good. You know, we're making a profit, pretty good amount of activity. If it drops to $40, everything kind of gets shut down and slowed down and those type of things. But in general, the industry is doing very well. The technology that we have incorporated into the drilling rigs, into the surveillance, the production performance, the subsurface modeling, all of those things are just so much, they're far, far ahead of where they were when I started in the oil field 40 years ago. That a drilling rig that I was on 40 years ago wouldn't even look at all like a drilling rig of today. Everything's automated. Everything, you know, you could sit on a computer board and you're playing your games, and you can get out on a rig right now, and if you're a driller, you're doing the same thing. You're working you're working controls that operate the entire rig floor.
Right.
It's incredible. Everything that we measure, I can sit at my desk at home and watch a well being drilled in southern Alberta.
That's pretty awesome. Like, technology has helped us for sure. Now, what kind of advice would you give to someone entering the oil and gas sector today? And that goes from apprentices to journey persons to engineers, project managers, anything. I mean,
when you say somebody entering the oil field, or entering into, even not the oil field, just into, you know, graduating high school, coming to say, getting a trade and going out, I've almost got goosebumps about it, because I'm envious. I'm on the end I'm on the very tail end of my career. I'm chasing grandkids and stuff around, where, you know, I'm envious of you guys coming into the opportunities that are out there in front of you. When you talk about adding technology, better ways, smarter ways, better ways to use data, it is so unlimited in front of you on the way. And the other piece of advice I give to anybody: learn your trade and be the best at it as you could possibly be. Be the best welder, be the best pipe fitter, be the best plumber, be the best carpenter. Understand the techniques, learn new ideas, learn from other people to improve your skill to where you're the best you can be. And if you're the best in that particular trade, you'll always be working.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. And what you said there is connect with other people. Learn new stuff. We're big proponents of connecting with each other and connecting with other people in other trades.
I'm a smart guy, but I'm way more productive and way smarter when I hire a lot of smart people around me.
I agree.
With the same kind of values, the same kind of work ethic. It's unlimited what you can perform.
So that's how you build your successful teams, really.
Without a doubt.
So you surround yourself with the smartest people in the room, and you let them.
We started Torxen 8 years ago. 6 people. 5 of them are still there.
Wow. Well, that's great.
You know, that speaks for how well we work together. And we've done very well with it.
Nice. Okay, under the guise of mentorship and education, you served on the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology on the board for 6 years. I mean, 2 terms. What drew you to that role, first off, and what did you take from it?
Well, I'm just trying to think. There was a couple of individuals that were on the board that kind of said, "Hey, John, how about coming to a meeting? How about coming and talking? How about interviewing with?" I'm trying to remember who the chairman was. The lady,
Irene Lewis.
Irene, and come meet Irene.
Yeah.
Well, you can't leave the room with Irene and say no.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
Yeah,
she was outstanding, and
powerful
just
person.
she loved this place. And you know, you can see my passion for youth or technology and those kind of learning those kind of things. You know, so many kids get out of high school now, and their parents want them to go to university to get a
Right.
4-year degree, and they spend a bunch of money, and you come out of there with a history degree or an English degree. You know, I'm not a huge proponent of that. Kids ought to figure out what they want to do. Learn a trade. Come to a technical school.
Yeah.
You're gonna graduate. You're gonna in a couple of years. You come back different. You get your tickets and those kind of things along the way, and you go into industry and get a job and get a meaningful job that's going to pay you a living wage along the way. And if you want to advance that to, you know, a 4-year degree in an engineering or a sciences or something, get started. Like I mentioned, I went to a community college to get started.
Yes.
And once I kind of figured I had some basic tools, then I could go to university. But you know, I think we need a lot of plumbers. We need a lot of electricians. We need the carpenters. Very, very good trades. Very, very productive people. And you know, this across the world, we're going to be building things and putting things together and making things work. We need people to do that.
You said something earlier when you said making a living wage.
Yeah.
This is important to us as well, because this living wage affords you a house, a car, a family, a way of life, a living.
Yeah.
Like you can earn a solid living and, you know, and be a super productive member of the society.
Yeah,
prosper.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're all paying taxes. We need to, you know, we are a big supporter of trade. So thank you for that. What do you mean when you say you're envious of the unlimited possibilities? What does that mean to you for youth today?
Yeah, well, the envious part is that, you know, I'm approaching 70 and I wish I was 17 again.
Yeah,
so that's the envious part of it. But the things that, you know, look at a car, for instance.
Right.
When I graduated high school, you could change the plugs and change the oil and, you know, tune it up, set the timing, all that stuff yourself.
That's right.
You know, all you had to have was a timing light and a couple of wrenches.
I remember those
You
days.
Can't even get into a car, you know, unless you understand the technology and you understand everything that goes into putting that car together. And one little thing here or one little thing there that's off, you know, it could be a light bulb that doesn't work. How the hell do you change that light bulb? You know, things along the way. So, you know, for people that understand that, for people that have learned the trades or learned the industry or learned that they have the opportunity to succeed far faster than those haven't.
All right. Very good. Now, you're moving on in your career, as you said. Maybe it's moving into legacy rather than, you know, more of a productive worker in that regard. I mean, I'm kind of getting there myself. Is there a moment in your career, maybe more than one, that you were especially proud of, and maybe you could share a couple of those things with us?
Yeah, like I said, I've worked in lots of different places, worked onshore, offshore. I think that there are two things. I had put together a team to build a Sable project in Nova Scotia, offshore Nova Scotia.
Okay, yeah.
There were 4 different companies that had interest in that. There was Shell, there was Nova Scotia Resources, there was Mobil, Moschbacher, and we ended up taking secondees from all of those companies and put them together. So these were people that hadn't necessarily worked together.
Okay.
And we all got together in 1998 and said, okay, what's the target here? Gas by the turn of the century. Everybody pulled together, people that hadn't worked together before, pulled together. We worked with all of the trades in Nova Scotia to build the facilities, to build an operating staff and all of those things along the way. And we made gas by the turn of the century. Nobody in Nova Scotia or Canada, for that matter, thought we'd be able to make that target. We were on schedule and we were on budget when building that project. And that was, everybody pulled together. And then after the project was over, we all went back to our other companies and those kind of things. But that was kind of a momentous milestone in my career. And then the second one was, I had retired from Synovus, and my partner said to me, he says, "You're not done yet. We ought to go put this thing together." And I said, well, I knew the assets. We'd go after the Palliser block. And sure enough, it took us about 18 months, but we were able to acquire that asset. We had a partnership in Schlumberger to help us put that together. And then putting that company together, again, building a team from different people, different resources to put it together and really have a very successful company that I think everybody that's there, that works there, is proud of it.
Oh, nice. That is momentous.
Yeah.
I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago here in the city called the Associated Schools of Construction, and it has a lot of U.S. base to it as well. One of the biggest asks they're asking students these days is for them to come up with better soft skills, if you will. And this is networking, this is communicating, this is building relationships. How do you feel about that? Do you think that is something that needs to be focused on a little bit more for our industry and how we train students?
We're in a workplace. You're working with people.
Yes.
You got to be able to get the best out of all of them, particularly if you're in the leadership role. And people have to get along. You have to be able to communicate. I find that new staff that come from either universities or trade schools and all that stuff, their written skills are really poor.
Okay.
And really, really to be working on that. My own kids, their handwriting is preposterous, and they'd all laugh at me because nobody writes anything more. Dad, we all type on our computers, right?
That's right.
But having to understand how you communicate what you want to get done to somebody else, you have to be able to either put it on paper or to vocalize it or to put it in a text now or all the other kind of, so that they completely understand. Mike sends me directions where to come. Very clear exactly where we're going to be, how he's going to meet, all those things. So you have to be able to get along. Soft skills are important. Yeah. All of us come, particularly Canada, from different backgrounds. We come from all over the world, have different structures, speak a language a little bit different. Making sure that when you talk to somebody, that you with respect, and they'll give you respect back, but that what you're asking them to do or what you're trying to communicate, make sure that they're hearing what you said. And same with when they talk to you, repeat it just to say, this is exactly what you want me to do. Yep, that's it.
Nice. Well, that's a great info.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I mean, you even said it yourself. You're around 70 or whatever, and you're moving on with your career into the twilight. What kind of legacy, if you will, what do you want to leave for that future generation? How is that going to work for you? I mean, have you thought about that?
Well, you asked me about the couple of things, the companies that were kind of milestones, and I kind of like when you've got, and in the case with Synovus, thousands of people, in the case with Torxen, hundreds of people that are working for you. I want them to be remembering the company they work for, remember the environment that we had put together, and strive to do that in other companies, because people are going to move on.
Sure.
People get, companies get bought and those kind of things along the way and sold, and you'll end up somewhere else. But remember the good things, and remember the structures and the organization and the relationships you had, and try to emulate that in other companies or other relationships and things along the way.
Okay.
And it's maybe back to original values. You treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yes.
And it'll go a long way.
Well, I really want to thank you for not only coming here, but sharing a little bit of your story. You've done an incredible amount for Alberta in itself and Canada, quite frankly. And I just want to thank you for you being the entrepreneur that you are, have created, I don't know how many jobs for our province.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I get all that, and I appreciate that. But the reality is, and even, we asked about my time at Satan, and I'm going to get emotional, but I enjoyed every minute of it. Nice. And I get so much more out of it than I gave to you guys. So I'm, when I see students even coming in here today in the food court there, and the students sitting down there talking together, and they're working on papers and stuff, I'm thinking, that's what it's about. That's living and that's life and those things. So I get so much more out of it than I gave.
Well, again, thank you so much. Mike and I are here. We're trying to share stories. We're trying to bring the stories to people, whoever will listen to us, actually. And we have a trades focus. So, again, thank you so much.
You bet. Well, I hope this helps you out, and cut and paste however you like it, whatever. So,
okay, man.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.